Greetings, my name is Louise Dente, and I welcome you to another edition of Cultural Caravan. On this edition is a special as we're here on location in historic Wilmington, Delaware, and we're joined by Dr. Umar Ifetunde, also known as Dr. Umar Johnson. And we're here at the magnificent FD Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Red, Black, and Green International Leadership Academy. And we're joined again, our founder, principal, and CEO. Welcome back to Cultural Caravan.
Thank you, Queen Mother. It is an honor to once again be here with you on the Cultural Caravan Network. And peace and black power to all my New York City family. Can't wait to see you October 30th.
I am just so happy. We have been talking over a decade, starting with your vision for our children, starting with you taking it from vision to actual reality. I know that over the years, many have said, but there are many who have actually believed in the vision. And now, in front of my eyes, I see these beautiful buildings that will be the future home of the FDMG Red, Black, and Green International Leadership Academy. How does it feel?
It is, I feel, very gracious, thankful to the Creator, the ancestors, the universe. As you know, this was a very long process that began during the spring of 2014 when we initially wanted to raise $2 million to purchase the St. Paul's College, an historically black college in Lawrenceville, Virginia. We were unsuccessful in that mission, so we then refocused our mission on finding a grade school building anywhere in the United States. And destiny brought us right here to Wilmington, Delaware, a campus which was a former black charter school, 4 modern, beautiful buildings. And it is here where we have purchased not 1 school, but 2, which we hope and we promise to make into the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. We have the Honorable Marcus Garvey Elementary School. We are sitting in front of the Honorable Frederick Douglass High School. We have the Prophet Nat Turner and General Jean-Jacques Dessalines Gymnasium. And then we also have a 4th building whose purpose we're still deciding on at this moment. But we are more than blessed. And now the challenge is to raise the money to renovate the inside of the campus.
Talk to us about the history and significance of Wilmington, Delaware, as relates to being one of the perfect places for this institution to start.
Wilmington, Delaware, where we're sitting right now, was the last southern stop in the slave states during the Underground Railroad. So once you got to Wilmington, you had made it to the borderline between slave America and free America. Once you crossed over to Pennsylvania, you was now in free territory. So for Harriet Tubman, who came through Wilmington, Frederick Douglass, who came through Wilmington, Henry Highland Garnett, who came through Wilmington, and tens of thousands of other Africans, many of whom will forever remain nameless, Wilmington, Delaware was their last stop as a piece of human property. This was the last stop before you crossed over to freedom. And for our school to be located at the last stop in slavery for our ancestors running through the Underground Railroad is so symbolically significant for a lot of different reasons. In addition to that, this is where the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and you see we have the red, black, and green stone, but this is where the Honorable Marcus Garvey incorporated his Black Star Line Steamship Corporation. It was done in Delaware, and the Garveyites who took the paperwork to the state of Delaware to incorporate the Black Star Line came from Wilmington. That is also significant. Bob Marley, a musical Garveyite, used to visit and live in Wilmington. This was a regular vacation spot for Bob Marley and his mother, and the house that Bob Marley lived in is only a few minutes away, and it's still decorated with all of Bob Marley's images on it. So Wilmington, Delaware, although it is a small city and is often overlooked for much larger Philadelphia, okay, is very, very significant in the history of black people. And Harriet Tubman's major financier, a white man by the name of Thomas Garrett, who is buried a few blocks from here. He was Harriet Tubman's main financier on the Underground Railroad, was born on the same day that I was born on, and the same day that the Nat Turner War took place, August the 21st. There are no coincidences. We are here on purpose, and it is divine design and destiny that we stay here and finish what we started.
When we think about our history, that history is right here. We're making history. You're making history by enabling us to have this opportunity. And the question here is, are we, particularly the community, going to take advantage of this opportunity that you provided for us to be a part of building our institutions again? As you've mentioned on numerous different presentations that we've had, you've talked about the legacy of Booker T. Washington. And I just want you to briefly talk about that connection between Booker T. Washington's vision for Tuskegee Institute and the one opportunity we have right now.
Booker T. Washington was a little known Pan-Africanist himself. A lot of people don't know that Booker T. Washington had an international conference for the Negro on the campus of Tuskegee Institute in 1912, I believe the year was. This is 4 years before Marcus Garvey comes to America. Booker T. Washington is training Africans at Tuskegee on how to go back to Africa and build up strong communities. Not only that, Booker T. Washington was scheduled to be a speaker at Henry Sylvester Williams' 1900 First Pan-African Conference. Booker T. was supposed to be a speaker, but he was unable to make it. And when people look at the influence that Booker T. Washington had on Marcus Garvey, they always leave out the fact that one of the things that attracted Garvey to Booker T so much was the fact that they both had similar views, although different tactics, on the need for international organization amongst African people all over the world. And to answer your question, Queen Mother, what I'm doing is exactly what Booker T. Washington did. What I'm doing is exactly what Mary McLeod Bethune did. What I'm doing is exactly what Father Paul Washington did at the St. Paul's College. Those colleges were founded as schools. They became colleges. Tuskegee Institute was the Tuskegee Normal School. It became a college. So one day we also hope to see the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy become a college as well. And so I see myself as another one of those black educators who decided to create a new opportunity for black children where they were with what they had. Remember, Booker T. Washington had his students make their own clothes, make their own food, build their own buildings, fire their own bricks. Mary McLeod Bethune used to sell cupcakes in order to raise money for the Bethune-Cookman College, which began at a trash dumpster. So our people have had a history, Queen Mother, and I'm so glad you bring this up, of starting from nothing, just like we did 6 years ago, starting from nothing, and here we are with 4 buildings 6 years later, and we have to finish the mission. It's been 401 years in America. Our ancestors are crying out for a victory, and we want this campus, your campus, my campus, our campus, to be the victory that our ancestors are looking for. I don't think it's a coincidence that Marcus Garvey incorporated the Black Star Line Steamship Company in 1919, and 100 years later, in the same state, we purchased the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy buildings 2019. That is no coincidence.
Now, Dr. Umar, you did talk about the connection historically between what is happening at this very moment, and we're taping this in 2020. 2020 happens to be a very challenging year, as you know, for education, for everyone, the nation. We're in the midst of a pandemic. And basically, the question is, what has been the challenges as we embrace the pandemic, as well as trying to develop these institutions?
The challenges of 2020, educationally speaking, as we deal with the challenges that COVID and everything else is bringing, I see 2 major challenges and I see 2 major blessings. One of the challenges is that our parents who do such a good job in the black community, especially our single mothers, who are more than 67% of all parents in the black community, they're not going to get their regularly scheduled breaks that they get when children normally go to school. And so I'm concerned that there's a lot of single black mothers and fathers and single grandparents and single aunts and uncles raising nieces and nephews and single big brothers and sisters raising younger siblings. I'm concerned that some of them are going to go through psychological burnout. And I don't want that psychological burnout to turn into psychological depression, which can turn into chemical addiction. And God forbid, which could also turn into suicidal thinking and other things. So although we love the fact that our children are getting a break from the miseducation machine, and one of the benefits is that parents can now educate their own children and get a chance to see how easy it is to educate your own children and get a chance to see how fulfilling it can be as a black mother or father to educate your own children. At the same time, I'm concerned about the single parents who need time off to deal with themselves and get themselves together and refresh and regroup and renew in order to keep on being effective as parents. I'm concerned about them. My other concern is about online schooling. As you know, Queen Mother, many people have begged me to forget about a brick and mortar school and go to online. In my opinion, people who want to change traditional schooling to online schooling are very, very short-sighted in their thinking, because once again, you're assuming that all of our kids come from homes that are conducive to education. You're assuming that all of our children have parents who are vested in their academic success and have the discipline to make sure they do their work. You're assuming that our parents, the good ones, and most of them are good, but you're assuming that they're going to be home all the time to monitor their child's academic behavior. And those assumptions are faulty. It's true for many black homes, but it's not true for all black homes. In addition to that, spending all day long on the computer is not good for their eyes, and spending all day long on the computer is not good for their health. Online schooling is going to triple the amount of obesity. It's going to triple the amount of sugar that our children are going to be eating because they don't have direct adult supervision all the time. So although I can appreciate and embrace the opportunity for the black community to finally take the educational destiny of our children into our own hands, I can appreciate that, but at the same time, I recognize that there are some dangers on the horizon if we don't stop trying to act like online schooling is a solution when it really is nothing more than a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm. Once you are up and running, what are some of the varied programs that this institution will have for our community?
What will make the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy unique? Right. I'll give you 3 quick things that make this campus unique for our children, beginning with our boys and then growing to our girls. And I'm going to give you 3 quick things that's going to make this campus unique for our parents and larger community. Number 1, Dr. Umar Johnson will not just be a principal, I will be a teacher. Children who attend this school will be able to say that I have Dr. Umar for a classroom teacher. No other school in America has that. Number 2, this school does not simply exist to prepare our children for college. In my opinion, that is too low of a goal for us because college is a business and every child that applies to one will likely get into one. So simply saying that your students got accepted into college, to me, is not necessarily indicative of them having been properly educated. Our goal is to create nation builders, family men, entrepreneurs, and international diplomats for the global African family. We are educating black men who will be able to go anywhere in the world and build independent black communities. That's what the purpose of this school is. Not for you to go to the military, not for you to go to college, not for you to go to trade school. Nothing's wrong with any of that, and we support all of that. And of course, we will have children who will want to do some of that, but we want them to be economically independent and economically self-sufficient upon graduation, and we want them to be dedicated to building the black family and the black community and rebuilding the entire African world. That is why we exist. Number 3, we will teach Pan-Africanism as a curriculum. We will teach African spirituality as a curriculum. We will teach financial and economic science as a curriculum, and we will teach love of the black woman as a curriculum. No other school in the world does that. For the community, when school closes in the afternoon, the Communiversity opens at night. You will never see these buildings close. We will have Lamaze class, birthing class, how to cook, how to do your taxes, a self-defense class, gun and rifle training. Everything that the black community needs to learn will be learned in these 4 buildings. What we are lacking as a people in this country is a central black community organizing space and meeting place. A central black community organizing space and meeting place. Between these 4 buildings, we have all the space we need to hold any conference, any workshop, any type of symposium whatsoever. We will finally have that right here. We don't own much of anything. Most of our large meeting spaces, if any, are owned by churches and religious organizations, most of whom are only dedicated to pushing their particular religion. This campus ain't about pushing anybody's religion. It's about building up the entire global African family. And that's what's going to make FDMG different from any other space or place in this country.
As you know, this, like anything, there's always going to be people out there who question the purpose, question the founding purpose, question everything. For those critics or detractors out there, tell us, why should someone, for those who say, oh, this is a scam, this is a sham, this isn't real, this school doesn't exist, what do you say to those people out there?
Well, one thing I do know is dishonorable people will never let the truth get in the way of a good lie. So when people ask, does the school exist? Well, we're sitting here. There's various governmental agencies you can call or go to online and find out who the owner of these schools are. 2 years ago, I was audited by the state of Pennsylvania Auditor General due to complaints by Negroes who said I was stealing money. So I had to go through a whole audit, and we passed it with flying colors because nobody stole a penny. Last week, I got a threat letter from the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, who is threatening to take away my school psychologist certificate and principal certificate for engaging in alleged bigoted speech. But he did not give a single example of the bigoted speech that he was talking about. So I say all that to say that there are, first of all, I don't believe there's anybody who really believe that we don't own these schools. I don't think there's anybody who really believes I've stolen any money. I don't think there's anybody who believes we're not going to get these schools open. But there are a lot of people who are envious and jealous about the fact that we will succeed. And in order to try to block the success of FDMG, they have manufactured lies and narratives, and they have acted on them. This is beyond YouTube videos. They have went to the IRS, they have went to the Attorney General, they have been to the governor of Pennsylvania, they have been to the governor of Delaware, they have been to the mayor's office, license and inspection, council persons, anybody you can name between Pennsylvania and Delaware. Every office, every white person they can find has been contacted and complained to about me by jealous black people. I've been through it all. And this latest letter threatening to take my credentials is just the latest ongoing war that I'm having with the white power structure, but in the interests of Negroes in our community. The same thing Marcus Garvey went through 100 years ago with the Black Star Line. I'm going through it 100 years later for the same reasons, jealousy.
And you raised a question as relates to how some of us become our worst enemy, and particularly the importance of learning from the mistakes, of learning from history. How do we not repeat the lessons of how do we learn the lessons from history? As you mentioned, great Marcus Garvey, you have a lot of people will wear his t-shirt and praise him now, but not realizing that he went through a lot of scrutiny, not just, like you said, not just externally, but also internally. Okay, some of those that we do praise, whether it be W.E. Du Bois and others, did not understand what he was doing, and unfortunately became part of that chorus, right, of people who were naysayers. And it wasn't until, I never forget going to Ghana a few years ago and seeing the Dr. Du Bois Center, where Dr. Du Bois, years later, realized the importance of what Garvey was saying, and he himself relocated. But unfortunately, it was too late. The damage had been done. So when we talk about the importance of not falling in, how can our people not make the same mistake that we made with putting down Garvey, putting down others, and not become our own worst enemy? What are some of the things that you feel that we could do right now not to repeat history?
The simplest answer with regard to what we can do now to not repeat history is to properly educate and socialize our children so they will not be more interested in tearing each other down than they are in fighting against their true enemies, and then they need to be doing focused on nation building. The problem is black children are socialized to destroy each other. The people who are attacking me, not one of them is a success story. Not one of them. They're all trolls and social network rodents, you see. So these are not successful people. At least with Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois was a scholar. A. Philip Randolph was a trade unionist. At least these were successful men. It doesn't excuse what they did, but at least they were leaders in their own right. The people who are attacking me don't have credentials. They're not leaders. They don't do anything constructive for the community. They're just miserable people, angry that they see someone doing better than them, and as a result of that, they want to tear him down. Black people want to be free, but they don't want to sacrifice their self-hatred in order to be liberated. We want to be free, but we don't want no black people to lead us to the freedom. We want to be free, but we don't want no black people being given credit for helping to get us there. So the problem or the dilemma with the black predicament is that we want out of our situation, but we don't want no black people to lead us, and we don't want no black people to get credit for doing so.
I think this is an opportunity. And first of all, I just want to say, Dr. Umar, we thank you for taking that stand in honor of the great Marcus Messiah Garvey, in honor of the great Frederick Douglass, and Marion McLeod Bethune, Harriet Tubman, and the list goes on, for taking that stand and actually doing something about it, moving it from complaint to action. And that's really the challenge that we have to say. Is one thing to complain, it's another thing to actually do something. So again, we salute the work, and now you've provided the foundation. Now the opportunity that the community has is to actually make it happen. I want you to give some information on how people can find out more about how they can be part of the solution to this process.
Connect with me on my website, drumarjohnson.com. And you can also come out to my Black Parent Advocate book release signing in Harlem, Friday night, October 30th, 2 p.m. until 8 at the Allah Temple in Mecca, the Nation of God's and Earth headquarters, and donate to our campaign, donate to our mission, and go to drumarjohnson.com or call me or text me to get more information about how you can help us raise the funds necessary to renovate the school.
On that note, I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast, and we continue to encourage you to tune in, to write, and to tell a friend. And please visit our website at www.ccptv.org. But until next time, Louise Dente saying thank you.